LAPD's group stalking by helicopter right now. This is impossible light activity that has grown to be on my wall. And this is it as you saw it underneath my bed moments ago. Okay, and they're amplifying and creating sensational activity of a helicopter while they're flying over my apartment. So I just want you to, I want to document that on video. And there they are right there, group stalking. And I want you to pay attention to the distance. First of all, this is the demon-possessed workforce that are the LAPD. They are surrounded by the evidence, and it's also evidence against all of the people of the state. You're looking at the engineered light that's covering all of the hillside. The duration of time analysis, which is the evidence of a sunrise, which I've documented as early as 6:39, 6:40 in the morning, is the evidence of their demon possession and their criminal engagement and what are the criminal elements of monitoring for purposes of massive surveillance in concert with the people of the state, all of whom are surrounding in relevant position. All of them surrounding a relevant position covered in the evidence of what is engineered light. Engineered light is present for the criminal purpose of monitoring and that is group stalking with the corrupt government that you see flying over me in helicopter. What I want you to pay attention to is while that audible activity is heard inside of my apartment and that distance of that helicopter, okay? It only took me a couple seconds. I said not even a full sentence. I walked to my living room and you're looking at the great distance, okay? The entity is engaged in what is amplification. That's the point of that. Amplification is speaking to the presence of all elements of monitoring. The engineered light, which is exactly what this is, that you see light reaching underneath my mattress, where you see the light source outside of my bedroom window, and this is the same window in the morning where I'm showing you a sunrise like you saw on May 6, 2024, because the entity has been engaged in what is the psychotic engagement, the same stalking, all right, by a demon-possessed agency and a demon-possessed population together that are also monitoring documentation. So they're engaged in the same psychotic stalking, the same psychotic group stalking under what is a covered-up light source, where the same exact criminal elements of monitoring always remain because the demons are maintaining the environment. They're also engaged in the same exact group stalking and federal stalking. All right, so I want you to pay attention to that distance that you just saw, but the entity is sounding helicopter activity in the depths of my apartment. Okay, that distance of that helicopter is not something that I would be able to hear, in other words, inside of my apartment while they're at that great distance, okay? And I also want to let you know the entity is engaging in what is very psychotic, showing what is a dangerous mindset as a sex offender, engaging and monitoring in the private space, the capability to engage in sexually violating another, sexually violating minor children while seeking to maliciously maintain an outward appearance as though that is not the case, which is very damaging, very psychologically damaging to, for example, one that would be subject to that sexual violence, that would be subject to that abuse. This is something that people target children with, okay? Sexually violating them and then exhibiting and conducting themselves, even imputing what is guilt upon those minor children, which is a damage to their mind frame, and it causes confusion. I just want to be clear, all the ways that you are witnessing the demented mind state of the demon-possessed workforce that are the LAPD, that are directly engaged in group stalking, and that criminal presence of the helicopter is the mark of demon possession. It's the hallmark of what is the system of group stalking and monitoring. They're also engaged in federal stalking in violation of Title 18, 22618, subsections 1 and 2. Again, you're witnessing the evidence of targeting, not only because you see the light source, it's not possibly the sun. This is the same address where you're looking at the sunrise in the morning. All right, and the entity is also engaging in this is engineer light. They're all going to be prosecuted. As you see the entity engaged in group stalking directly in this video, every single last person, I don't have to know their address. This third party whose venue I'm looking at in relevant position, I'm going to prosecute them. Every adult for federal group stalking and monitoring and federal stalking in concert with the corrupt government that is providing a wealth of documentation against them. While I've been documenting this for a prolonged period, they are threatening my life. They are present on behalf of the corrupt government. That's why you have their property covered in engineered light. It's not sunlight. That's why they're living in a specific environment that is purposely maintained for that reason, to engage in this system that is committed by a population. It's committed by the community, okay? By virtue of that, that is, again, the constitutional basis for prosecution for the people of the state. And that's exactly what that third party in that blue house represents. Okay, you're not present on any private, you're not exercising any right of privacy. You're in the specific environment. That's why the specific environment is there. And how do you establish that? By juxtaposing it with the specific environment that is speaking to the ongoing maintenance of that system before I moved here. And it is showing the ongoing criminal engagement of that same exact system, which is revealing what is public corruption. And it shall result in what is a massive federal prosecution of that entire community. And this is speaking to, again, the evidence against that community where they are living in relevant position. This is group stalking. This is public corruption as a way of life. that's going on in the state of California. And also, I want to let you know, while you're looking at the engineer light that's covering all of a community, this is revealing what is the condition of those in that community. This is a demon-possessed community, and they are violent sex offenders that are maliciously engaging in a criminal system in concert with that corrupt law enforcement agency. They are not ignorantly or innocently or unknowingly present in engineer light while the entity is stalking in helicopter. This is how that system looks, and that's exactly how it works. So I want to make sure that you understand that it's 6:41 p.m. And so what we're going to juxtapose that with is what the entity was doing on this same day in 2019 at 6:39 p.m. And that's the evidence against the people of the state as you're looking at that blue house, for example. That's called criminal presence in the path. It is as criminal as the ongoing maintenance of traffic that you will see at the same time on this day in 2022. That's called crossing a path. Living in the specific environment is also called crossing path. Living in the path. That's maintenance in the path. While the entity keeps you surrounded in the ways in which that you've seen, for example, by keeping engineered light inside of my apartment on the ceiling. All right, as you're looking at it appear and disappear, as you're looking at the engineer light that is present, and then glowing, getting brighter and dimmer with real-time operation of my phone. As I begin taking pictures, the light begins changing concentration levels. The entity is engaging in what is the ongoing real-time knowledge of any and everything that I'm doing. And this is a community that is surrounding, that's engaging in what is criminal presence, serving group stalking. Criminal presence, that light activity disappears, and then it appears on my bed, all over my person, which is the presence of the demonic. These are the demon possessed. In other words, by virtue of the presence of this entity, of this light activity inside of my apartment, which is under all circumstances impossible light activity, because sunlight is not reaching through your windows, and then coming through horizontally at an upward position to create the pattern of that which it is touching at an upward position, changing any method of concentration, and which has nothing to do with lights, because sunlight's not even traveling in that manner. It's not appearing in that manner. Where you've also seen the same light activity on my ceiling when the light source is outside of that window in the morning, as I've shown you the presence of the light source from 6 o'clock in the morning until what is after 7 p.m. That's showing the criminal conduct that the people of the state living on the hillside are inevitably surrounded with. And all 59 units at Alvarado Gardens that are living on the same property as the targeted individual are going to federal prison. Okay, this is the engineered light that's growing in real time. This is where it was at as I captured this video starting it. All right, and this is where it's at now. The real time adjustment of this light activity. It's, first of all, dynamic. This is the leaves of the trees that are moving through a magnified light, which is absolutely demonic. It is as impossible as the light that you saw on my ceiling today. Then it disappeared and it appeared on my bedspread. Let me zoom out so you can see. It appeared on my bedspread, and then you saw it underneath my bed. You're looking at what is, again, growing. This is in air quotes, this is as demonic as the engineer light that's moving across surfaces while the people of the state cross path. It is as demonic and psychotic, by the way. This is illustrative of the very demented mind state. This is the evidence of the stalker, okay? And this is a criminal system that's underway. I want to be clear. The entity is engaging in this ongoing criminal system in concert with the corrupt law enforcement agency that you saw in relevant position at a great distance, targeting me with the audible activity. And that targeting conduct is speaking to what is stalking not only underway by that demon that's operating a helicopter, which represents a whole demon-possessed agency, the LAPD and Dominic Choi, who are engaged in what is a matter of public corruption, and they are a domestic enemy engaging in what is systematically and repeatedly violating the constitutional rights, the human rights of an American citizen. I want you to look at the pattern of the blinds that's also appearing above my head. This is the evidence of demon possession. This is in the environment that is not shared under any circumstances, and I want you to see the light source again, which has nothing to do with this light activity you see inside of my apartment, because these are demons that are sex offenders that are the Upland Police Department at 6:39 p.m. All right, I'm at the same property where I'm showing you the light source in the morning at this property. Okay, we'll revisit that in a second. That's speaking to the specific environment, and that's exactly what's underway. And that light source that you see outside the apartment right now is not the sun. That is not possibly the sun, and it's not the natural environment. It is the specific environment, and that's exactly
this is criminal summoning
what I'm capturing as I'm at the Upland Public Library at the same time in 2022. 6:39 p.m. is where I'm stepping out after having engaged in what is a matter of private a private occasion, a private matter inside of the restroom. But let me be clear, the entity that's engaging in what is state surveillance are engaged in the ongoing perpetual sex offense. The sex offense is always underway because you are always being molested, violated, surrounded with that is touched without consent, with engineered light that's not even naturally occurring, that is serving a criminal system whereby there is no legitimacy for it, there is no justification for it under the Constitution. It is inhumane at that, and it is also terrorism by virtue of seeing that engineered light, which is inexplicable, inarticulable by the ordinary target individual, and it is for a criminal purpose of keeping you under surveillance in concert with a government and in concert with every single last person that both lives in relevant position, by the way. That's why the people of the state living in that blue house, they're going to be prosecuted as a group stalker, period. And you're going to permeate the lives of this population that is engaging in this conduct, revealing a mentally ill population that are ticking time bombs, a threat to the public, while this secret system remains underway. While you see this light activity appearing above my door in my bedroom, while you see this light activity stretching across my carpet, growing up onto the wall of the bedroom, and you see that light source outside of my bedroom window, this is the same address where I'm present in the morning, and you see a so-called sunrise. There's no provision for this to be the natural environment under any circumstances, and it's the same analysis for the Upland Public Library. As I walk out of 450 North Euclid Avenue in Upland, California, at 6:39 p.m., the entity is engaging in a sex offense. The entity is engaged in what is repeated patrolling, that is a population that is crossing path in engineered light for a criminal purpose. And you know that because it's not even sunlight, and it's not possibly the sun. That's the same address where I'm there at 9 o'clock, 7:44 in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm at that same address. I walk out. That's the light source, as though the sun is going to rise and set on one street, having moved, by the way, in no direction west. Okay, while it is present over me and I'm still looking at it, this light activity, this light source that is in perfect alignment with me, while you see group stalking by the Upland Police Department in the same way, at the same time, on the same day in 2022, you're looking at the stalking by the Los Angeles Police Department, as I'm showing you that at the same time inside of my apartment. That is speaking to, by the way, no coincidence also. That is beyond any coincidence. I just want to be clear. That is actually impeccably precise documentation of what is a crime that is supposed to be beyond anyone's ability to establish or prove. And that's speaking to the malice of a corrupt government who is providing, at this point, evidence against its criminal co-conspirator. And the demon that's living in that blue house is going to be prosecuted with this insurmountable evidence of what is group stalking and how group stalking works. That's why you have a specific environment in Upland, and it's not shared with anything that's happening in LA. And that's why that blue house that's covered in engineered light, not sunlight, is not shared with this environment outside of the Upland Public Library, the same street that I'm present at 7:44 in the morning. So let's look at this light source, and then we're going to see when I'm on this same street at this same address at 7:44 in the morning, at 9 o'clock in the morning. That's not possibly the sun. You're looking at the crime scene where criminal surveillance is underway. Criminal surveillance is underway, and federal stalking is underway in violation of Title 18 by a demon-possessed population. And it is a matter of public corruption.
Sun right here over them. This is vehicle 211, vehicle 221.
And again, this is me walking out of the Upland Public Library at 6:39 p.m.
Summoning this is the fake sun right here over them. This is vehicle 211, vehicle 221. This is called pacing. They're monitoring, and they're bathroom monitoring.
Understand, every car that's driving by is creating light activity. This is a repeated criminal act committed over and over and over again. That is the crime. That's why the environment is there. That's the significance of having it there. This monitoring is consisting of nothing other than maintaining movement in the engineered light. This is how a demon-possessed entity is engaged in both monitoring using communication devices and on the internet. It creates what is real-time operation and control and interference with your operation of your communication device. And also, it is achieving what is monitoring. It is spiritually significant conduct by a demon-possessed entity. Their desire, their purpose, their system consists of maintaining ongoing movement while engineered light surrounds the targeted individual and the light source, which is a very easy method of documenting it, because I'm showing you, not 24/7, but all hours of the day, during the day, the entity keeps a light source over me. And then when the entity is monitoring documentation, okay, and is fearful of the fact that their demon possession is being exposed at the same time, you have what is still the same system underway. You're witnessing malice. You're witnessing the grounds for removal from law enforcement. You're witnessing the grounds for disbanding. You're witnessing the grounds for deportation. You're witnessing the grounds for federal prison for a prolonged term. You're witnessing the grounds for removal from law enforcement, removal from the legal profession, removal from the medical profession, removal of custody of the minor children belonging to the people of the state and state actors. That's what you're witnessing, because they're engaging in the same criminal system and in this demonic environment where it is equally impossible that the light source is there for the duration of the day over me, that same demon-possessed entity is engaging in the same exact criminal activity while the light source is covered up. Covered up by, clouds. So this is under the guise, oh, it's just a cloudy day. No, it's not. In the same way that that's not the sun that will be over me for 12 hours. The same demonic ability to cover up that light source. This is malice that you're witnessing. And it's revealing the reality of the demonic control of an environment. While demonic activity, that is the demonic activity is literally movement in the environment. It's literally the crossing path. It's literally the maintenance of light in the path. It's literally the creation of noise in that in the path, in this engineer light. That's literally the demonic activity. That's literally the objective, and it is criminal. That's why any and everything that you say, and also you're analyzing the substance of what is said when you're going to be prosecuted for federal group stalking and monitoring. It is no small thing while you drive into the parking lot in concert with the LAPD. And they do it repeatedly. And that's as easily as they can engage in the very serious federal offense, a government monitoring you, albeit demonically, using demonic methods. All right, which the ordinary person doesn't even recognize. You don't understand the significance of it. You don't even know what's going on. You just, you have a gut instinct that people are following you, even though you don't know these people, but you might even observe they're doing the same thing, but you don't know exactly what they're doing or why they're doing it. All of that is psychological torment. All of that is harassment as an entity. All of that is terrorism. All right. And they're also doing it in the private space. That's a sex offense. That's what's underway right now. So I just want to make sure you have under all of that. That's a lot that I just went through, but this is relevant for what is a prosecution, okay? This is essentially a legal argument. Okay, so I don't expect you to necessarily follow me with regard to all of the levels and this is legally relevant with regard to the mens rea of the mind state, with regard to the establishing the conspiracy, and all of this is legally necessary when you are prosecuting. So that I'm going through all that, you may or may not even follow that legal analysis, but what you can see, I'm talking to the ordinary lay person, okay? You don't have to be a lawyer to follow. This is not the sun that's possibly over me at the same time when I'm in the Upland Public Library, which is where I'm at. At this time, it's 6:39 p.m. and I'm going to show you the same address where the sun is over me at the same address. And then we're going to revisit what you just saw. The entity that is using a helicopter, which is audible activity. In other words, noise. They're crossing path, flying over my apartment. And then I'm going out of my bedroom window. Not going out of my bedroom window. I'm inside of my bedroom. That's the previous video. Inside of my bedroom window, you're looking at the engineered light while I am hearing amplified helicopter activity. And then I go to the living room window and you clearly see the helicopter that is in the path, that is stalking in the path right there. But what you're analyzing is the fact that I hear it in my bedroom and you see the engineered light. And first of all, that's impossible light activity. Second of all, that's impossible audible activity. And then you are seeing the stalker in the helicopter. That's called being in the path. That's group stalking. That's the state acting directly. Like I said, the presence of one element is speaking to the presence of all of them. And the presence of all elements is always present. You're understanding the system of group stalking. Group stalking is not underway by the government itself. Group stalking is underway by a whole entity that's acting in concert with that government. It is prosecuting everybody that you see covered in that engineer light on the hillside. That's exactly what that's why it's there. And it's absolutely impossible. Every single aspect of the elements of monitoring are a phenomenon. You're looking at light above my door inside of my bedroom, and you're looking at what's supposedly the sun when you're an ignorant onlooker, when you don't know what's going on. If this is the sun, there's no sun outside of my bedroom window right now. There's definitely no sun reaching through my window, through closed blinds, at now a downward trajectory when before it was at an upward trajectory. And then you see it appear above the bedroom door. All manner of what is circus conduct with light. In other words, it's demonic. Demons are surrounding, demons are stalking in helicopters, demons are living in houses all around me, engaging in state surveillance. And that environment is not shared with regard to the natural environment. While you're looking at the police that represents the state, and they're engaging in a sex offense because my panties are down inside of the bathroom of that Upland Public Library, and they're pacing in relevant position in concert with the people who are driving an engineer light, while the light source is in perfect alignment with me at the same address where I'm present in the morning as a matter of documentation before today, May 19, 2022. Okay. And I mean today by this date on the video. Today is 2024. Okay. So I am documenting it before today in 2022, and the entity engages in the psychotic pattern. This is the entity that reasons in its mind. I have to go murder more people because my previous serial killings are being investigated. And in order to throw them off the trail, I need to go commit more murders. I need to go kill more people. I need to go commit more crimes. That's the mind state of the group stalker. That's what the criminals, the demon-possessed workforce, that's what Dominic Choi are engaging in. That's what they're exhibiting while you are still seeing the entity engaging with the criminal system on an intentionally so-called cloudy day. This is malice. The pattern, it occurs while I document the light source, as I juxtapose the light source in an entirely different region, as I use the light source that's present over me at a specific hour down to the minute. And as I give you those illustrations, then you witness the entity engaging what is concealing that light source by covering it up. And then you will see the same exact stalking system, though. It is no contradiction. It is the evidence for all of that which I mentioned. You are going to be disbanded. You are going to federal prison, and you're going for a long time. That demented mind state is a threat to the public. Understand that this is a population that intends in every way to exact war against the American citizens in this country. And I'm not being hyperbolic, and I'm not trying to instill fear. This mind state that's exacted against me, one person, a whole population, by the way, who was already defeated. All I'm doing is articulating to you what is the demonic mind state. What do you get from this criminal conduct? What do you get from that level of malice? What do you get from that ongoing obsession that's exhibited through the environment and through your consistent, determined stalking? You're a whole sex offender monitoring. You're looking at the video while I'm capturing it of you. You're trying to escape being captured on video. You're trying to hurry up, and you're still doing it. And then you're trying to cover up the light source in no way escaping what the P.O.C. provides. Direct, insurmountable evidence beyond a reasonable doubt serving for a federal prosecution of a corrupt government that's engaging in what has not been exposed before. And that is in America, we are not so free. We're not as free as you think you are. It's an illusion. You don't have as much privacy as you think you have. It's an illusion. Okay? And it is requiring your ignorance, and it's requiring that you stay asleep. So I'm going to stop talking because I want you to look at the environment here. This is the light source at 6:39 p.m. at 450 North Euclid Avenue. I'm walking out of that library where I'm present in the morning. Okay? And the entity covered up its light source. I'm going to show you Upland Police Department stalking maliciously, showing the demented mind state. And that's why they're going to be disbanded, and they're going to federal prison as well.
This is criminal summoning. This is the fake sun right here over them.
This light source is not creating any light activity inside of my bedroom that would appear on my wall. This is magnification of engineer light that's appearing through what are nonetheless closed blinds. Okay, the blinds are closed. And this is a magnified light that was also traveling across the carpet, appearing underneath the wall. Okay, underneath the bed. Okay, that light activity has crawled and is growing in real time as I move my arm. This is how you create light activity. This is for the criminal presence in the path by the people of the state that live in the blue house on the hillside in perfect alignment. Group stalking with the state that flies directly over me while that light source is in perfect alignment with me, and it is not over the or in alignment with me as I walk out of the entrance of the Upland Public Library at 6:39 p.m.
This is vehicle 211, vehicle 221. This is called pacing. They're monitoring.
And I'm getting the state that's acting via this corrupt law enforcement agency because I'm going to prosecute the state. And I'm also reading license plates of the people of the state that are engaging in the criminal act of patrolling. They're not ignorantly doing so. I want you to understand. This is a population that's engaged in an ongoing intentional criminal act, and it's highly malicious. The light source and the engineered light is not there because there are people that don't know that they're group stalking somebody. That's not what the case is. That's not what the evidence shows either. And it's also unreasonable to contend that. The directed light conduct that you also have witnessed. This same method of stalking in the path coexists when I'm standing in the shade and engineer light is moving across as though it's ricocheting off of their cars. And it's moving all across sidewalks and up the side of buildings. This is the converse of that. They're driving in the engineered light as opposed to them driving in the shade or under the light source directly. And engineer light is moving across me or across a building. This is not an ignorant presence of the environment. This is how an entire population, all of whom have the same condition, are engaging in a criminal act that is engaged in concert with one another. It is beyond any question, and there is no unjust result when you're talking about, well, how do you know it's everyone in the neighborhood? Because the engineer light and the light source, that's how. There is no exception to that. The only exception is myself. And that's why you go to the extent of documenting and establishing the P.O.C. over a prolonged period of time. And I have from 2018 to what is now 2024. I stopped in 2022. All right, it's 2024, and it is very precise and directly relevant when it's even down to the same day, same hour. But it's even beyond that, and this is what I'm speaking to: the psychotic and wildly demon possessed, very demented mind state of a criminal. Okay, who serves Satan, and I want to be clear: the affect on a human being with demon possession, which is legally relevant at what I'm talking about. I'm not preaching. This is legal analysis, and it's legally relevant that this is a demon-possessed population and a demon-possessed workforce that represents a law enforcement agency. And Dominic Choi, I don't have to know him personally. He is demon-possessed, and this is state surveillance, and there's no exception to that department. There's no exception to the population, and that has been established over a prolonged period of time, where there is a consistent body of evidence showing what is a system that's necessarily occurring through the masses. That's why you've seen the engineered light occurring in the ways in which it's done. It's not just peculiar to where I'm at, suggesting that, oh, it's just the corrupt law enforcement agency that's using helicopters or showing up to your house. They're not coming and knocking on my door every day. They're maintaining presence vicariously while a population is all around you. It's supposed to occur unbeknownst to you. The system is such that it's supposed to occur, and it's without suspicion. You're not supposed to question the environment. That's the natural environment. You're not supposed to question what you and who you see around you. You just see ordinary people that are in a substantially similar position as you. That's the malice of the entity, a demon-possessed population that wants to hide amongst the population that is not of that condition, that are not group stalkers. And that's not here. Southern California is maintaining a system which is indicative of what's going on in the state of California. In San Francisco, I will say it again, the light source is over Uber in San Francisco, not the sun. Because the documentation shows that it's rising here at the hillside and it's setting in alignment to my bedroom window in the evening. Okay? The analysis goes for the rest of the country. And why? Because there's only one sun. But I'm going to keep it to where I'm at. I'm prosecuting the state of California, and I'm exposing what's necessarily going on in the rest of the country. There are implications also beyond this country because there's only one sun. So what is that over them in Canada? What's that over them at other times? If it's occurring here, you're talking about questioning what's going on in the world. But I'm going to digress from that. Okay? I'm going to handle where I'm at. This is what I understand is my purpose, and that's exactly what I'm speaking to. Okay? So the entity is maintaining an environment that is supposed to never be questioned. You're never supposed to notice it. But once you pay attention to it, it stands out like a sore thumb. And then you're witnessing psychopaths, the demon-possessed population that are showing a very disturbing and disconcerting obsession and ongoing determination to threaten the life of another in the face of evidence showing that your secret is no longer a secret, that your criminal activity is known. And they continue to engage in it while they're holding the position, by the way, of an agency, a law enforcement agency that has before abused its condition while being a stalker, engaging in an arrest as though they have legitimacy or authority under the law, delusional, threatening the lives, threatening your reputation. While they are kidnapping and stalking you, still in the jail, they're stalking. They're engaged in group stalking. The engineer light is inside of the facilities. They're pacing around in the engineer light, okay? And they're wearing badges and uniforms, all right? They're conducting themselves like they're medical professionals, and the people of the state that are wearing the same uniform as the target individual locked up in jail, they're demons that are monitoring together, just like you see inside of the Upland Public Library, just like you see in traffic on a street, which is Euclid Avenue in Upland, California. So again, I'm going to go ahead and capture this, and then I'm going to show you why I'm on the same street at 7:44 in the morning, and then we're going to look at video when you're looking at the light source that's over me while I'm inside of that venue. And by virtue of the duration of time, there is no natural environment where the sun is going to be over the same address, okay, outside of the doors of that same address, okay, on the same block where I'm at that feet away from the same address for the duration of the day. Never. That's the specific environment. Covering up the light source and still being a stalker in a helicopter is the specific environment. And it is the grounds for literally a raid by the federal government, disbanding in federal prison and mental examinations, and then permeating the lives of those state actors that are engaging in the state system. Delusional to the degree that they thought that they can engage in and replicate the same malice, which is what LAPD is doing now in the specific environment. That's the state. Covering up the light source for the first half of the day because I'm pointing out the criminal conduct of Lisa Rogan and the courthouse and Thomas Garza and the courthouse and the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department and the San Bernardino Police Department and the Ontario Police Department. And the entity that's group stalking at Economy Inn, Sunrise and Sunset. The Ovid Family Community Library, essentially a sunrise and a sunset, where the entity engaged in kidnapping at both of those venues. Entertained, okay, evading service of process by the San Bernardino court. That's a criminal act, not a civil matter. grounds of federal prison. Okay, and also facilitating a kidnapping by abusing the position of a corrupt courthouse that doesn't have any authority under the law. They're making it up and they're stalking in the court. It's group stalking. The light source, engineered light, the same exact system. Never is there going to be a sun over there while it's remaining over the Upland Public Library all day. No light source over the roof of the Upland Public Library is at the same time over the courthouse in Rancho Cucamonga or the San Bernardino courthouse, let alone through the windows of my apartment as I am now in Los Angeles. So I am showing you the malice of an entity that is engaged in state surveillance on the venue of the internet in concert with a demon-possessed population that lives in relevant position, comes to engage in relevant position in a direct manner onto the property, and they're all engaged in a ceaseless system, which is also a sex offense while it's occurring inside of the private space. And here at 6:39 p.m., I am coming out of the private space, the restroom, and this surveillance is underway. These demons are sitting in their vehicles, engaged in criminal summoning, the outward appearance of what is supposed to be within the function of their job, and they're demons that are stalking in the path. The people of the state are creating ongoing activity. The light source is in relevant position at the same address where it's present in the morning over my head, and they're using their vehicles to create light activity and relevant positioning while my panties are down inside of that restroom. And I walk out and I document those sex offenders. The same ones that were monitoring me in the morning on this same day using helicopter. Okay? That's the significance of what I'm capturing.
This is criminal summoning. This is the fake sun right here over them. This is vehicle 211. Vehicle 221.
Crossing the path.
This is called pacing. They're monitoring.
Crossing the path.
And they're bathroom monitoring. The people of the state at 359.
And this whole population, every single last one of them knows where you're located. This is all things that you are aware of by the maintenance of an unnatural environment. It's stalking in the environment. A stalker is following you. The following conduct is revealed through the unnatural environment. Yes, the whole population knows exactly where you're at. They know exactly what you're doing. And they are doing so in a manner where they are convinced that no one will ever know. And if you even tell, no one's ever going to believe you. That's the malice of the demon-possessed population. They're engaging in a sex offense right now. And they're also engaging in a sex offense on this day in 2024 because I'm inside of my private space and they're still engaging in that same system. While I'm inside of my apartment, the entity that's engaged in surveillance in the private space shall be prosecuted as a sex offender. Okay, while they're also molesting my person with engineered light. It's not even naturally occurring. It's serving a criminal system of surveillance. You're a sex offender, and that's exactly how you're going to be prosecuted. Every single last name that will be brought out, individualized at that federal prosecution. And everybody that lives on the property of Alvarado Gardens is going to federal prison for it. Okay? That's the significance of it.
Euclid Avenue. That's criminal
repeatedly.
Summoning. The people of the state at 379 Euclid Avenue. Criminal summoning. And like I stated, Katie, inside of the library, she's engaged in bathroom monitoring and criminal summoning. This is sexual violence and ongoing terrorism. The Upland Police Department flying helicopter right over my head today. So let me get these license plates. This is license 1561123.
So I want to point something out to you, the malice of the entity that's reviewing my evidence. So what has been happening lately, I've been showing you the covered up light source during the first half of the day, and that's how you have what I captured last week. The light source appearing where? Directly over my head at 11:52 in the morning. Where is it appearing? Oh, directly over my head at approximately like 12:30, 12:45 in the morning. Excuse me, in the afternoon. It is still the specific environment. This is the delusional psychopath that is under no circumstances contradicting or rebutting or in any way you're showing what is a public safety concern while this criminal system is underway. That's what it's showing. And I want to make sure that I spell out that malice for you because that's what the entity's pattern. While I show you what is stalking with the light source, the entity will engage in the same exact stalking conduct, still maintaining the elements of monitoring, just trying to cover up that light source. That's all that's underway. That's revealing a psychopath. And that psychopath is literally the masses, a population, because they're all demon possessed. And they all know what I'm exposing about them. And then they're still engaging in the same thing, trying to cover up the light source. Okay, now what am I saying by they? They're not reaching up in the sky, okay, and covering up the light source with the clouds. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I mean by that. I'm speaking to what is the reality of the demonic environment. While the demon possessed are maintaining presence all around, this is demonic activity. And the demon possessed that are monitoring documentation about its criminal conduct that's not a secret anymore, you are witnessing the demonic while that light source is still present. And it's an effort, a criminal effort of obstruction of justice because you're going to criminalize this demonic activity while they're still engaging in the criminal system, and that demonic activity is still present while you're looking at it's just being covered up. And I've also documented, again, moment by moment, the environment changes. Were I to walk off the property of Alvarado Gardens, let me be clear, that cloudy day would immediately disappear. I've documented it already. It's not the natural environment. It's real-time focus on anything and everything that I am saying and doing in real time. So that's all that's been captured underway. And while Teresa Becerra, by the way, who was documented as a group stalker creating audible activity on my office phone, while this same entity was flying circles, flying back and forth over my office all day while that light source is covered up, appearing as what's supposed to be a cloudy day. It's the same specific environment. By the way, all elements are present. The light on in my office is light activity. And the demon-possessed entity that drives in and out, up and down Alvarado is light activity crossing path. Light activity on the hillside. The demon-possessed are pacing all around in the streets. They're surrounding. The helicopter itself is flashing light on the helicopter. And they're driving in and out of the parking lot, creating light activity. The entity is maintaining the elements of monitoring. All elements are present. I'm speaking to the reality of a demonic environment that the demon-possessed are intentionally aware of and maintaining presence around a targeted individual. These are demons that are stalking someone together. It is group stalking, and it is the government that is engaging in this and is facilitating it with the people who are of the same condition. That's terrorism, because you have masses and masses and masses of people that are invading your privacy. They're engaged in stalking in relevant position, and they're also engaged in what is surveilling you on the internet. And this is speaking to the fallacy of you thinking you have privacy, or that nobody knows your social security number, or that you're getting just marketing calls on your cell phone. No. Any group stalker, including a demon flying a helicopter, is using phone numbers for purposes of monitoring you, going under a company name and sending you a marketing text message. It's the entity. This is a fallacy under all circumstances. Who you are and what's going on with you in your life is not is not private. These are all of the means of that system, okay? And the entity, my purpose in interrupting this video is because the entity is seeking to avoid me making these analysis, showing you these officers, for example, showing the ongoing pattern that's in, and that's delusional, because the prosecution, first of all, the state of California, you're talking about it's a timeline, okay? Until they're sitting in court. And you're talking about what's going to be, that's going to be quite a prosecution, because a lot of people are going to have to arrive in court. Okay. But nonetheless, they're not avoiding, understand the delusion behind that. You're still going to be prosecuted. You are not avoiding the documentation. Okay. And it's not even reasonable. It's not even logical. That's not how this works. That's not how that works. It does not cause the evidence to just disappear and evaporate. And it's not contradicting what was already documented. The ability to prosecute this entity that is still engaged in the same system exists on its face, even without my capturing the entity stalking today in a helicopter. Understand that. The entity is seeking to, I want to keep stalking Erica Lorraine Spencer. I want to keep being a demon and terrorizing her, but I don't want her to draw any comparison between me and what the rest of the demons and the other entity was. Well, it's not the rest of the entity before she moved to LA. That's essentially what they're doing. I just don't want there to be any comparisons drawn between what we've already done and the other part of the region. That's all they're doing. It's the same entity though. I was in another region, and that is further corroboration, by the way. It's an entirely different region. There's no sun that's going to be rising and setting. Look at the evidence of pick one venue, pick one, any one. There will never be a sunrise or a sunset at Alvarado Gardens, period. The entity wants to engage in what is psychotic, covering, and I've already shown you what you're dealing with, what is supernatural. This is demonic. So the same demonic is witnessed when you're looking at the light source being covered up. And then you're looking at the same exact stalking conduct. No court, no legal analysis is such that, there's no evidence and there's no pattern of conduct because, I know that pattern was already established before you moved to LA, but this is clearly not a state system that's underway because the light source is covered up. And so you're looking at the same stalking conduct. This is unreasonable. This is not how legal analysis goes. Okay. And I've already established what the P.O.C. looks like and how the pattern of conduct is underway at nightfall, how the entity is maintaining the specific environment, even outside of the presence of the light source. This is a delusional entity. That delusional mindset is a threat to the public. The mindset as follows: I am about to be caught for murdering somebody, and I have to go around and I have to kill more people in order to throw them off the trail. If I kill more people, then it's not going to be found out that I killed X, Y, and Z, and that's going to throw off the trail. And the knife that has my fingerprints on it, they're not going to be convinced that it's me because I killed other people. I'm continuously killing, and that's going to throw them off the trail. You see how that makes no sense? to continue doing what you've been doing. You are already surrounded by the evidence of what you're doing. It is no longer a mystery what you are doing, and it is fully established what it is that you're doing, and you're continuously doing it. In addition to that, this is not just anything and anyone. This is corruption by government actors, by what's supposed to be a law enforcement agency at that. And it is beyond any coincidence. It is beyond my ability to capture a pattern amongst different police departments, and that's exactly what the evidence provides. And then you have engaging what is the demonic, covering up the light source, and the same stalking conduct. Why? Because they're mindful of, revealing the fact that they're demons in a demonic environment. And you see those demons engaging in the same criminal conduct. That's the delusion. That's malice. Okay, this is calling for removing domestic enemies that are going by the names of these police departments. They are domestic enemies, and the state of California shall go without them. This is what I'm advocating for because of the ongoing determination to engage in terrorism. Terrorism is something that is intolerable, and there will be by the federal government, there will be no negotiation. And any terrorism that's occurring on your watch as the chief of police, you are fired. You're fired. You are fired, and you will be a documented group stalker because it's occurring on your watch, and you are not ignorant while that's happening. And how do you know that? Because of the pattern by these police departments. That's impossible to be ignorantly underway. It is facilitation. It is underway. It's a state system that's supposed to be, remain a secret. It's not a secret. And what do? They engage in more demonic conduct, more stalking in what is no less a demonic environment, while they want to then just cover up the light source. And that light source is liable to appear at any point based on what it is I'm doing or where I'm doing or what I'm documenting. If I don't pull out my camera, the light source is there from the beginning to the end of the day, like I already documented for months before the entity stopped showing the light source in the morning, because I'm naming names like Lisa Rogan, who's going to federal prison, because I'm doing that. They want to avoid me naming police officers and police departments like this Upland Police Department. His name is Alvarado. He's going to federal prison. Okay. That's what the entity seeks to avoid by having the light source here all day long. That's delusional. And that's what I want you to see. It's delusional. This delusional mindset is a threat to your safety. Okay. These are psychopaths and obsessed stalkers, and they're demons. And that's a safety concern on its face. Then you're looking at what's an ongoing desire, an ongoing criminal purpose. They will continue to commit the crime. They will persist in that direction instead of ceasing. And these are people that are also in the role of government. That's a public safety concern. Remove that courthouse from existence. California will be okay without it. We will build up from the ground up again without it. Remove it. They're a terrorist. They are engaged in what is unfathomable criminal conduct, and it's countless the people who have suffered while that corruption went unchecked before the P.O.C. Remove that courthouse, remove that sheriff's department, remove that police department. Permeate their lives, remove all the threat that is posed by their very existence, and remove them permanently from the positions that they hold. And you forever alter their lives. You also deport if they're not even natural born citizens. And I don't care what naturalization, I don't care how long they've been serving I don't care. They're going to be out of this country. That's across the board. Okay, this is how terrorism is going to be treated in this country. But anyway, that's the purpose of this sort of up close documentation of demons that are a part of these corrupt law enforcement agencies. And this is the presence of the light source. They're crossing paths, and then you're looking at the light source that's over me in Upland, California, and then you're looking at the light activity inside of my apartment here in Los Angeles. And this is after the entity has already provided the evidence of what is under no circumstances the natural environment where I'm showing you a sunrise through the same apartment window. Okay, that's speaking to the pattern of conduct as though sun is ricocheting. This is my hand while out of distance. This is light shooting off, shooting through the window. I'm not going to say I guess. I'm saying I guess because it's so ridiculous. It's demonic. It's impossible light activity. It's the mark of what is the system underway. Okay. And that's exactly the evidence of targeting. While you saw the entity literally provide evidence of targeting flying over my apartment, you also see targeting while they're at a distance. And yet I'm hearing the helicopter. That's amplification evidence of targeting. When you are seeing the hallmarks, you're seeing the light source. It's the evidence of all elements being present. The entity is group stalking in concert with the people. It is prosecuting the whole entity. Like I said, the entity engages in what is malice by covering up the light source, which you're going to see. All right. While you're looking at the evidence of what is an impossible environment, there's no sun that's over me while I'm standing outside of the Upland Public Library at this time on the same day in 2022, while you're looking at what is engineered light that's covering my ceiling, as you see both in the morning and the afternoon. And now you're seeing it traveling all across, like ricocheting through the window, on the ground, under the bed, across the carpet, on the wall. Demonic. Stalking with light. Demons are stalking in the path while you see stalking with light. Demons are stalking in the path while you see a light source present from beginning to the end of the day. And while the entity, a demonic and corrupt entity that shows no desire whatsoever, no plan to ever stop. And that's why the federal government's going to stop you, since you don't want to stop, since you can't stop. The federal government is going to stop you. So the entity is engaging in that. That's all reasonably construed from the criminal conduct, covering up the light source, which is demonic. All right? It's an exercise of the demonic. You're witnessing the demonic. Because I've also shown the light source, which is captured on this day, like I said, as I walk off the grounds of the Upland Public Library and the entity stalking me by helicopter, group stalking by helicopter. As soon as I walk off and I start documenting, the light source, it's present, okay? And that's the by the way, the long-term pattern of the entity. I'm not going anywhere while I'm at Alvarado Gardens. I'm not going anywhere. So the entity keeps the light source for the duration of the day. I mean, they did it one time. That's all I needed you to do. And I didn't even need it. The state is already prosecuted, okay? But you're talking about what is a substantially delayed prosecution. And Lisa Rogan and the entirety of the entity is going to pay for that. Okay, this is a substantial delay to justice, and that's a threat to my life. Lisa Rogan and the rest of the entity, the entire state of California, every chief of police, every police officer, every police department, only on not only on an entity basis, but also that individualized federal prosecution. That entity is going to pay for that prolonged threat that you are faced with when you have suffered what I have, substantial delay of justice. That's all that is. But I want you to be clear, and that's very costly. And I'm not just talking about money. That's very costly on your criminal record. That's very costly with regard to the consequences, the federal repercussions for engaging in this criminal act. That substantial delay, that's commensurate with what is a threat to your life, to your liberty, to your reputation, to the damage of personal property. This is the entity that broke into my car, stole my driver's license. That wasn't some stranger. It's the entity that's monitoring. Took my driver's license. What do they need it for? That's just harassment. And they know exactly who I am. That's not some crime that has to be investigated and you have to figure. No. And who's investigating? The demons that are monitoring in helicopters, the corrupt law enforcement agency. I'm showing you how this is circular. It's a corrupt entity. You don't actually have privacy. They're keeping you under surveillance. They know exactly who you are. Okay. And the entity that's monitoring documentation wants to avoid me naming police departments, specifically making comparisons between what the entity is doing and what I've already documented. That's what they're trying to avoid. And they're failing at that. They fail at that. You will never circumvent the pattern of conduct. You cannot, it is literally, and this is literally a fact, you cannot contradict the P.O.C. There is no getting out of what is by virtue of it, literally its definition. You cannot get out of the pattern that you've already established. It's a pattern because that's exactly what they're doing over and over again. No one's confused. I've shown you every iteration of it. I've taught you how it works. You see one that lets you know all of them are present. It's a matter of analysis and paying attention to how they're doing it because it's always present. There's no getting out of that. You're dealing with delusional psychopaths, and that's the demon-possessed population, and that's the threat to the public. Okay, so I'm literally not going to talk anymore. I'm just going to show you the video.
They are stalking with light under the fake sun. The sun's not going to be present over 379 Euclid Avenue. It's right over my head at 9:30.
Okay, and also, I know I said that, but it's not going to be outside of my outside of my bedroom window, and then ricocheting with light inside of my bedroom and creating light activity while you're looking at it over this house while I'm at the same presence that's what I was speaking to right now in the morning that I'm here at 9 in the morning.
The sun's not going to be present over 379 Euclid Avenue. It's right over my head at 9:35 this morning at the Upland Public Library, where the entity's flying over me by helicopter. 1541462. This is federal prison. 8 MGA 601 monitoring with him. Okay, P.O.C. 1561123. This is federal prison.
Let me be clear what these demons are doing. They are literally engaging in what is stalking in the path while I am inside of the building of the Upland Public Library, keeping someone under surveillance while my panties are down. That's what they're doing. That's literally what they're doing. You need to understand how much of a sex offender that is. That's a sexually motivated and predatory mind state while they are engaged in what is inevitable. You're not doing anything. You can pull out whatever third party you want. You can pull out handcuffs, whoever you can, and this is what they'll do. Oh, well, I'm arresting someone. I'm doing something. We're pulling out a body in an ambulance. We've got a fire alert. We're bringing the fire truck, and we've got something important going. It's called light activity. It's called serving for relevant positioning by the people. You're looking at the light source and you're looking at the engineered light. That's what these demons are doing. And they're doing it while my panties are down inside of a bathroom. They're sex offenders. This is the conduct that they don't want you to know about. And this is what they're doing. And they do this on a 24-hour basis. They do it via children as well, having children go in and create audible activity because you're supposed to be a paranoid schizophrenic, incapable of establishing the P.O.C. while the same elements of monitoring are underway, even while the people of the state utilize their children to engage in a sex offense, a very demented sex offense. Terrorism in the private space. That's what this population does, and that's why they're losing custody of their children while they use them to engage in sexual violence and terrorism. And that's what these corrupt law enforcement agencies do as well. In concert with minors, they're engaging in what are very serious federal offenses. They engage in terrorism in concert with minor children. Yes, the grounds of disbanding. Absolutely. So this is the entity that is engaging in this surveillance. They're group stalking in the path. While the lights, you see the light source and you will see the engineered light, they are monitoring, engaging in what is surveillance. By the way, demons know what I'm doing. They know as I'm pulling my panties down. And why am I being so graphic? Because you need to understand the sexual violence that's underway while a demon-possessed population is keeping you under surveillance. They are aware and they are creating activity and they are targeting in that specific environment. And they're doing so with real-time knowledge as I pull my pants down, as I pull my panties down, as I necessarily touch myself and relieve myself in a restroom. That's a matter of public information by a bunch of demons who are stalking in the path, doing so in police vehicles with the people of the state. A massive sex offense is underway. Okay? This is the reality of what they're doing.
That looks like what's your name? Hi. Alvarado? Oh, Alvarado, what's your name?
Can I help you?
Yeah, I need your name.
What for?
Because you're a public servant.
Okay.
Okay, you're going to federal prison anyway. Let's get that meaning. Here you go. P.O.C. Refusing to provide his name while he's engaging in criminal activity.
Okay, you're going to analyze this. First of all, the people of the state are repeatedly crossing paths. This is light activity and relevant positioning over and over and over again. This is the state acting directly. This is the state acting vicariously in concert in the engineer light. And I want to be clear, this is the engineer light that they're driving in. It's not sunlight. They're driving in the engineer light that you see appearing on my ceiling. They're driving in the engineer light where you see multiple shadows appearing. They're driving in the engineer light that you see in my apartment where the pattern of these blinds appears adjacent to the window at night. That's what they're driving in right now. And also the light activity is also created by this demon that's operating a police vehicle. He's got his police lights on. That's light activity. He's monitoring. He's still monitoring while he then begins moving his vehicle. He's not leaving. He's not ceasing to engage in the crime. He is monitoring while he then engages in moving. Okay, it's monitoring from beginning to the end, and they're engaging in what is a despicable and disgusting and sexually motivated criminal act. While I don't even have a phone on while I'm relieving myself. What is your purpose in keeping somebody under surveillance in the private space? You need to understand what is the sex offense of group stalking. You need to understand that. And that's exactly how it's going to be prosecuted. And while you have minor children engaging in group stalking, you're losing custody of your minor children. Okay, they've been made terrorists and violent sex offenders. And that's exactly how those under the age of majority, you want to be a group stalker? You think so? Because they're going to regret that criminal record when they turn 18. And it's going to follow them. Tiffany Sherez's 15-year-old daughter, she's a documented group stalker. She exhibits an ongoing pattern, which is demon possession. That's unfortunate for her. It's not going to stop a federal prosecution. You can remove her from the custody. It's not the federal government's job to try to save her soul, but you will be prosecuted for the criminal conduct that you are showing. You've got the mindset, understanding what you're doing and doing so repeatedly in concert with the corrupt law enforcement agency. Yeah, you're going to be prosecuted. By the way, she's also engaged in federal stalking. This is the other aspect of that crime. Okay, they're engaged in surveillance in relevant position and in surveillance on the internet. And so this is what those over and under the majority of, under the age of majority shall be prosecuted for. Criminal presence, as you can see, is very easy. Demon possession is not limited to the age of majority. Okay, so understand that this is a violent sex offense, that group stalking, violent sex offense. Psychopaths hovering in a helicopter right now, including while they listen to me as a population, peel my clothes off, use the restroom, touch my person necessarily to relieve myself, as I wash my hands, as I brush my teeth, as I take my clothes off and get in the shower, and I have to touch my person necessarily to walk. They're keeping you under surveillance at all moments. I've shown you the engineer light while I'm nude in my bedroom in the morning, while the light source is outside of the bedroom window. That's not even having the form of sun and sunlight. What is the purpose of that? It's entirely demented. It will be prosecuted as the violent sex offense that it is. That's exactly what it is. While they touch you with that engineer light, that's a sex offense. A violent sex offense, which shall be appreciated under federal law. The government is a sex offender, and the government shall be prosecuted as a sex offender. And that is bringing shame to this country, by the way. But that they did the crime, and that's exactly how you're going to prosecute. It's not the targeted individual's fault, nor is it anyone's responsibility to rationalize the demented criminal conduct of a corrupt government that thinks that it can engage in this crime against a person and bully a person because of its position of being the government, because it's going to be presumed to be legitimate when it says that the targeted individual is a sex offender, or it says that the targeted individual is a criminal, or it says that the targeted individual is mentally ill. While in every regard, the entity, a demon-possessed one, which is what it is accusing the targeted individual is, the government is the sex offender, the government is the stalker, the government is the sex offender. That's the character of Satan, by the way. And that's exactly what this demonic entity engages in, calling the targeted individual what it is, in fact. And I have established it by evidence. Evidence, insurmountable evidence. That is speaking to malice. And everything that the targeted individual has suffered, and I have suffered substantial delay with justice. And I will be there will be recompense, by the way, for not only with regard to damages. You're talking about years of targeting and terrorism by the people of the state that like to deliver packages under the name of Amazon Prime, and they think that they are getting away with it because they're acting with, number one, with the corrupt government, and number two, because nobody has paid the penalty for it. Having to show that, and I've documented that particular group stalker for years. Okay, that's a substantial delay in justice. That is going to be considered when you're draining the pockets, when you're awarding time in federal prison. Okay, when you are understanding what are the ongoing related punishment for engaging in that. Yes, you're going to be identified as a group stalker by company name. The whole globe needs to know what that company is engaged in and what it facilitates. It's a matter of justice. Okay, so I want you to understand that this is group stalking. This is a violent sex offense that they're engaged in. It's egregious. It's unfathomable. It's not even logical. It doesn't even make any sense. What is your purpose in engaging in that level of stalking? It does not serve any, it's demented. And this is what I'm speaking to, the obsession that is revealed through the environment. The demon-possessed entity thinks that it can look to the left and the right, and it's supposed to falsely depict that targeted individual. I'm showing you what is the malice of psychopaths and their obsession, their obsessive stalking. You see it through the light conduct. They're obsessively stalking with light. That's how you know the demon-possessed are obsessively stalking you. That's how you see it. That's how you know it. And then you take a second look at that demonic entity, and then you see the malice. Then you see the psychopath. Then you see the sex offender. Okay, then you see the demented, that necessarily demented mind state to go to such lengths to try to conceal your criminal activity while you're in the shoes of the government. It does not get any more despicable than that. Okay?
He's going to federal prison, and that's why he's refusing to provide his name. That's P.O.C. And this is criminal conduct with the people of the state. This is massive facilitation and directed light across the grass. These are...
All right, we need to revisit that because I want you to see this is the evidence of everything that I just told you. Not only are you looking at the light source that's outside of my bedroom here in Los Angeles, which is not the sun, while it's at the same time remaining at the same address in Upland, California, where I'm present in the morning, which is why you document a corrupt government that's engaging in demonic activity, because it is that unbelievable. But that's fine. I did it. It's done. Okay? The entity is engaging in what is maintaining a specific environment, and that includes their evidence of their demon possession, which you see the light source, that's evidence of their demon possession. They're creating light activity in the specific environment, that's evidence of their demon possession. Yes, it is. They're engaging in what is crossing path conduct. Any and every method of creating activity, engaging in any of the three elements, in other words, is evidence of demon possession. Only demons are group stalking. Only demons. And you are looking at, again, that same phenomenon. Engineered light is moving across the curb here. I need you to see that. While these demons affiliated with the Upland Police Department are group stalking, and there's violent sex offenders who are monitoring me, keeping me under surveillance while my panties are down, okay? Now, I shed tears for the ordinary targeted individual that is suffering at even a greater level, because this is something that an entity is doing. They have the idiotic audacity to stalk in plain sight in helicopter while they know I'm going to capture it on video. They know that. Okay, so this is foolishness. This is the psychopath. Oh, I need to go kill more people so that they don't find out, even though my fingerprints are all over the bloody knife that killed the targeted individual. I need to go kill more people because they think in their mind that that's going to throw somebody off the trail, or that's some sort of contradiction when, by the way, fingerprints, that's a surefire prosecution. Okay, that's essentially what the P.O.C. is, a surefire prosecution. And then you reason in your mind, the only thing that you can do is more of that criminal conduct. That's what you reason in your mind. That's exactly what the P.O.C. is showing. That's exactly what they're doing. Okay. So beyond that, this light activity, it is exactly what I told you. They are engaging in surveillance while my panties are down. That is sick. This is a law enforcement agency. Let me be clear. This is a demon-possessed workforce. That is the Upland Police Department. And they're violent sex offenders, engaging in what was supposed to be a secret stalking, secret surveillance system. That's why this demon, Officer Alvarado, wants to drive off. He's still monitoring as you see that light activity dragging across a curb, which is never naturally occurring. Light does not ricochet off of your car. It does not spread across grass and across a curb while you are driving in traffic. That is again, speaking to specific knowledge of who I am, what I'm doing, what I'm saying, as I'm saying it, and as I'm doing it. That specific environment exhibited through the light source, through the engineered light, through presence in the path in that specific environment. I'm referencing all three elements, and I'm referencing the ongoing ability to identify a demon-possessed population who are criminally surveilling an American citizen. It is group stalking, and it's a government system. And you know all of that by virtue of that environment, which a demon thinking it's above the law, thinking that no one will ever believe that targeted individual, no one will ever witness its exposure, is engaging in that conduct. Pay attention to the engineered light because you know all of what I just said by this engineered light that's moving across a curb. It does not get any more satanic than that, okay?
Provide his name, that's P.O.C. And this is criminal conduct with the people of the state. This is massive facilitation and directed light across.
Okay, right here, along this curb right here, you're going to see the engineered light. I want to back up again because I want you to see that. These demons, the Upland Police, are monitoring with the people. This is a whole population, and it's occurring through the systematic means of traffic. By virtue of engaging in this means of group stalking, it is letting you know that there is no exception. It's everyone, everywhere, all the time. The only exception is me. I am the only one that is not of that condition. I am the one that is subject to it. There is nobody, in other words, that is innocently in this environment, that is not group stalking in that environment. This is an ongoing evidence of that. It is justice to prosecute everybody for federal group stalking and monitoring and federal stalking that lives at Alvarado Gardens, that lives at Silverview Townhomes, that lives in relevant position on both sides of Glendale Boulevard, on the hillsides on both sides of Glendale Boulevard. And that's a zone of relevant positioning. It's a whole community engaging in that because that's exactly what's going on. And you see it exhibited while you're looking at what is a means of traffic. Traffic, that is synonymous with what is system, everybody, everyone, systematic criminal conduct. That's why the environment is there. And you're looking at what is a unilateral means. You are, again, demonstrating individually the fact that you're a group stalking, the fact that you're a demon, also the directed light moving across the curb. Okay? Pay attention to the curb.
And that's P.O.C. And this is criminal conduct with the people of the state. This is massive facilitation and directed light across the grass. These are demons.
Okay, so I want you to see that and this again, because you can never see the demonic too much. You can never see the evidence of what is a federal prosecution. You see that light activity?
Directed light across the grass. These are demons. And this is... He's going to federal prison, and that's why he's refusing to provide his name. That's P.O.C. And this is criminal conduct with the people of the state. This is massive facilitation and directed light across the grass. These are demons. 154-146.
That's the same light activity that you saw on my wall, on my ceiling today. You saw it appearing and disappearing, the entity putting on a light show, providing evidence against the entity. Okay, it's getting brighter and dimmer, and it stayed at one level of concentration. The moment I started taking pictures of it, that's when it gets brighter and dimmer. This is impossible light activity, meaning this is light that is appearing that is never possibly naturally happening ever. The presence of engineered light is the evidence of group stalking, and it is terrorism as you look at it. It's evidence of a sex offense as you look at it inside of the private space or on your person. Okay, this is occurring inside of my apartment today. The entity is maintaining this engineered light while you're looking at it on my bedroom wall, and you saw it growing underneath my carpet while the entity was stalking by helicopter. Hold on. There's the light source, and then you see it on my carpet underneath my bed. Engineer light. While the light source is outside of the Upland Public Library at 450 North Euclid Avenue, Upland, California. Underneath my bed. Okay, absolutely impossible light activity. And then it grows to get taller and taller, as you saw it on my bedroom wall. Okay, that's demonic. You're looking at what is the maintenance all day long of engineered light, the evidence of group stalking. And the evidence of group stalking is also established by the state that provides the presence in the path by the state that uses helicopters in particular. This is how the corrupt law enforcement agencies, this is a demon-possessed workforce that are these law enforcement agencies, as they are engaging in providing, first of all, evidence of their demon possession. This is relevant, and this is why they're engaged in group stalking. It's not just criminal surveillance. You need to understand, and it is legally relevant, that these are demon-possessed law enforcement agencies that are engaging in what is group stalking. This is inherently public corruption by the government, who has no probable cause. They're exercising authority outside of the law while they are stalking American citizens and masquerading as though they have probable cause. They don't have probable cause. They know exactly what you're doing, where you're doing it, as you're doing it. And they're also engaged in federal stalking online. This is all known through the specific environment. This is what the entity is engaging in while I am capturing at that same library in the morning on this day in 2022. And so you're going to see what you've seen here. First of all, the entity is maintaining the light source while I am at that venue. Let's see, the 19th. I'm at that venue, which is the Upland Public Library. I step out of the Upland Public Library and I am present. So this is, let's see, at the Upland Public Library at 10 a.m. Hold on one second. I'm going to show you something else first. So I'm at the Upland Public Library, May 19, 2022 on this day. The entity is engaged in the same pattern of conduct. What is it that's going on? What's the context of what you're going to see? The entity is covering up the light source. Okay. And why they're covering up the light source? Because this is not the natural environment. You already know that because I've shown you at all hours of the day, which is not the natural environment, a light source, not the sun. That's why I refer to it in the way that I do. Very specific, very deliberate. It's a fake sun. It's a light source. It is not the sun. Okay? The entity is engaging in what is monitoring documentation, literally witnessing its exposure. And so what does this demonic entity opt to do? Engage in the same exact stalking, while that demonic environment now consists of what is covering up that light source and engaging in the criminal elements of monitoring in another way, which is through the creation of presence in the path, audible activity, and relevant positioning. And that's what you're going to see while the entity is stalking in a helicopter on this day at the Upland Public Library, where, by the way, I have already documented the entity present over my head at the same address with the light source. And that's what you're not going to forget. You're not going to forget that. This engagement in the same criminal conduct, by the way, the entity engaging in the P.O.C. on Monday, under where the light source is covered up on Wednesday and on Thursday and Friday, does not mean that the pattern of conduct ceases to exist. Where you're still seeing ongoing hallmarks, stalking in helicopter. The light source might be covered up, but they're still stalking in helicopter. They're still stalking by the entity using sirens and the emergency vehicles. And the people in the state are still exhibiting their demon possession, maintaining presence in the path. You're still looking at the P.O.C. So I want to make sure you're understanding the malice. This is exactly what the entity acting via the LAPD is doing, stalking heavily in helicopters under what is the same specific environment, covering up the light source. This is a psychotic, obsessive stalking system while they're monitoring documentation, hoping that they can avoid me specifically naming the entity such as the Upland Police Department, such as Officer Alvarado, who's going to federal prison. That's what they want to avoid. I don't have to go through that through the video documentation. It's already on the record. Officer Alvarado is going to federal prison, whether I use LAPD and LA as an example or not. But I want you to understand the psychotic desire to continue to engage in the P.O.C., thinking that you're avoiding something, thinking that you're contradicting something, thinking that you can do it and nobody's going to, or there's some way that the targeted individual is not going to be able to catch it. All of that is criminal. All of that is a criminal endeavor. All of that. That mindset is criminal. And that's what I want to point out to you. So you're looking at the same pattern. The elements of monitoring are underway, and you're looking at the entity that's stalking with the path. The light source is still over my head. You're looking at what is covering up the light source. It's not an actual cloudy day. This is not the natural environment such that it's just the weather. Every move that I make, I've shown you. It's like the environment is alive. As I start talking about things, the environment is in real time changing. As I start taking pictures of the engineer light on my ceiling, real time changing. It starts flashing, appearing, getting brighter and darker. This is what's going on it's not the natural environment. This is what's going on in the environment that surrounds with this light source chicanery, covering it up and showing it. It's the same thing. It's the same pattern. Okay, it is alive. It's a demonic environment, and the same exact stalking is underway. And they're doing this because they're monitoring documentation. They know exactly what's being captured about their criminal conduct, and they continue to engage in that criminal conduct, thinking that you can avoid being identified, being captured, being caught in a system. The ordinary target individual has a right to not be subject to that. I am the one that they did it against because I can speak to it. I identify it. I'm articulating what they're doing. And I'm also serving for what is advocating, prosecuting for that criminal conduct as well. But the ordinary target individual, that's who you're thinking about. They try to document, and the entity thinks that it can outsmart the targeted individual. Okay, that makes me want to cry for the ordinary person. I'm going to control myself, but that's criminal. Okay, that is entirely criminal. It's vicious. It's despicable. That's what the government is doing. Okay, this is what's underway. The light source is covered up. I walk off the grounds. I start documenting elsewhere because I'm documenting the Upland Public Library so heavily from the beginning to the end of the day. So they're covering up the light source. They're still stalking in a helicopter. This is Upland Police Department stalking at the beginning of the day. The Upland Police Department is stalking at the end of the day where that light source is still present. And nobody forgot that the day before and the day before that and the day before that and the week before that and the month before that, the light source was over me every day at the beginning of the day. You're never forgetting that. Okay? And this is how you are understanding what the target individual is capturing. This is how you're analyzing. This is how you are prosecuting the criminal act. The pattern of conduct is established. It's revealed over a course of time. And I had to go through that process of showing that over time. It necessarily takes time. Okay, you have to go through a passage of time in order to show exactly. And even after you show it, you still need more time to show that there is a pattern and there is no circumventing that pattern. Even if you want to skip a day, you've got time of day analysis, duration of time analysis, you've time of year analysis. You're understanding what is also a fallacy because the entity's keeping the light source all day long. Daylight savings time doesn't even apply. It doesn't even apply. But even going through that, because this is scientifically relevant evidence as I'm prosecuting a state and I'm showing what is demonic activity, what does it look like? Showing what is terrorism in the United States, what does it look like? What does it act like? Okay, and you're witnessing it through the environment. So this is something that is necessarily captured over a course of time. The ordinary target individual does not have to suffer such substantial delay in justice and the threat that's posed to their life. Okay, so this is the P.O.C. in the morning on May 19, 2022.
Criminal summoning. Criminal summoning and stalking by helicopter.
A demon driving an ambulance, amplified audible activity while they're crossing path, criminal use of that vehicle for purposes of audible activity. And what else are they affecting? The traffic lights. This is criminal facilitation. Everybody that lives around, everybody that's present. This is a demon that works at the Upland City Hall, a government actor who's group stalking. You see this lady walking by? She's not even a lady. That's a group stalker, but she works in a state facilitating venue. She's group stalking in plain sight. And they think that they can do it because they covered up the light source. This is the mindset. I have to go kill more people because I'm going to try to throw them off the trail, even though my fingerprints are on the knife. But if I go kill more people, that will throw them off and I can continue killing people and nobody's ever going to suspect it. Nobody's going to catch me. I'm not going to be known. That's the criminal mindset. That's a delusional mindset. You understand the fingerprints? That's a surefire prosecution. We know that. The demon-possessed population, even a government actor, again, what are you talking about? They're not smart. They're not witty. It doesn't matter how many demons there are. That's not what creates the majority. I've already went over that. I want to be clear. The pattern of conduct is something that Satan never anticipated, and Satan also doesn't know how to get itself out of it. This is how you get this sort of idiotic conduct, and it's precious evidence. It's precious evidence. But that's the criminal mindset, and you prosecute for that. You protect the ordinary target individual against that despicable criminal purpose. Elements of monitoring, that's a demon creating light activity, audible activity using sirens. This is what the fire departments, the police departments, and these demons driving EMTs, driving ambulances are doing. These EMTs, you're going to follow. That goes to the hospitals. They're group stalkers. in the medical profession, yes, you're going to permeate the lives. You're talking about understanding, follow the whole trail. There's a whole trail speaking to this criminal system. All right. But nonetheless, they're creating light activity through the traffic lights. The people of the state are in traffic. They're stopping on their brakes. This is creating a whole path that's targeted by where they're at. The ambulance, everybody around me right there in the path is stepping on their brakes right now. This is light activity. This is criminal facilitation. All right. That's how you're witnessing what is the maintenance of the engineered light. Remember, the engineered environment is present day and night. The presence of the light source is a method of stalking with light. But the light source has nothing to do with what is light that is appearing on my ceiling inside of my bedroom or appearing on my bedroom wall, magnified in size. It has nothing to do with that light source. You've seen it there, even in the absence of the light source. This is an engineered environment at all times. You just have not been paying attention to it. This is not a natural environment. Light doesn't do that. Okay, so you're creating light activity as you're engaging in activity creation in an engineered environment. That's what's significant. You're not pumping your brakes. You're engaging in criminal activity creation. Okay, the use of the traffic lights. Everybody's stepping on their brakes. They're all in the path right there. They are crossing path with me. They're driving right by me with that ambulance. Everybody right there is stepping on their brakes. You know what it's like when they have their sirens. You have to immediately pull over. They're creating activity together. It's massive facilitation. Massive. It's occurring at the same time that the entity is sounding helicopter and flying over in helicopter, while a demon is in close proximity walking by the lady that's in black. This is demonic activity. This is the malice of an entity. This is a demonic entity that's also monitoring documentation and does it under the covered up light source, which remains right over my head, just covering it up. This is demonic activity. And while you're listening to sirens and helicopters and ongoing demons who are surrounding, engaging in this is terrorism. This is America's version of terrorism.
There's criminal summoning. That's AMR, criminal summoning, and stalking by helicopter. There you go. Upland Police Department. Flying right over. This is where the entity keeps a fake sun all day. That's criminal summoning by American Medical Response.
And by the way, that's the light source right there. Right there to the, when you're looking at it, it would be to the left. It's a little bit brighter. It's just covered. It's right there. It's still over my head. And as I walk in any other direction, the light, all of a sudden the clouds clear out. Okay. As soon as I start taking pictures again of the engineer light on my ceiling today, immediately, all of a sudden the light starts flashing, getting brighter and dimmer, brighter and dimmer. Very demonic. Okay. Literally stalking via the environment, which is what the demons that are the state are doing. They're demon possessed. They're wildly obsessed. They would like to hide that obsession. They would like to hide the fact that they're stalking. And you are capable of, first of all, knowing that because I told you and I've substantiated that knowledge of what you can't see physically through the criminal conduct of what they're doing, which you don't know the significance of. And the environment, the significance of what they're doing in the environment that you're not aware of. You're paying attention to it now and you see it. In addition to what is showing you the evidence of their demon possession, which is also exhibited. Okay, in that environment. So that light source is right there in the sky space. And as soon as I make a move off of the grounds of the library, as you'll see for the rest of the day. And this is that delusional entity that covers up its light source while I'm here in LA. Still stalking, okay? Heavy duty stalking, 25, 30 times a day. I'm documenting the entity stalking by helicopter. And this is evidence. Teresa Becerra is actually going to sit in federal prison for this. I do not understand why you would do that, but I do understand. Okay, because the entity is, again, woefully ill-equipped for its exposure, both as a demonic entity and for its criminal system. Woefully ill-prepared. But why should you be prepared for exposing that which is literally cruelty to a human being? Because this is what they've been doing for a very long time in California. This is not new. This is not new at all. The entity's been doing this for a long time, and that ongoing malice, that despicable conduct, covering up a light source while demons are still persisting in that criminal conduct, because they're monitoring your documentation and knowing that you've documented specifically a light source. And so it's not a coincidence that you're looking at what's in the covered up light source and what's not coincidentally happening, supplementing for the light activity, amplified audible activity. That's not a coincidence in that environment. Okay? This is malice. This is impunity. This is lawlessness. Okay, the entity is flying over my head at this same library where I've already shown the light source at the beginning of the day at the same time. Nobody is forgetting that. No federal government is going to look at the evidence in that manner, and I'm not just making some dictate. I'm not just making some mandate. That's how you're going to prosecute any stalker. You're learning how the government stalks. You're learning what is the condition of this government that's stalking you, maliciously wanting to falsely depict the one whom they're stalking. and you identify it through the environment. I'm not making any mandate talking about you're going to do this, you're going to do that. No, this is how you're recognizing it. It's evidence through the environment. And then while they're monitoring necessarily what's going on your communication device, okay, while they're keeping you under surveillance and they know that you're documenting them, you will still recognize the environment as those same elements of monitoring are present, and they seek to show their demented mind state still obsessively violating the law, violating that person, keeping them under surveillance while they think that they're in some way hiding what they're doing while the light source is covered up. That's called malice. That is called malice. This is what you see. And the light source, as I documented on this day, the light source remains over me. That's how I'm capturing it at 6:39 in the evening on this same day.
All right, and while you're documenting the entity, as I'm speaking to the entity that's engaging in that P.O.C., the entity engaging in that very same pattern of conduct, this is the entity that's monitoring documentation and specifically engages in that pattern of conduct. I want to be clear, the Upland Unified School District engaging in terrorism.
All right, and that's exactly what I'm referencing, the pattern as I pointed out the light source documentation, as I began honing in on that. This is when the entity began in the chicanery covering up its light source, and you will see what is under no circumstances ceasing. The entity is still stalking by helicopter, following me everywhere that I go, remaining where I am in helicopter, and you will still see the engineered light and the light activity. And the people of the state that are demon-possessed are engaging in the pattern of maintaining presence in the path with some method of light activity. That's the consistent pattern of conduct. The elements of monitoring are always present. And how do you document any stalker? You're not going to remove the evidence. The stalker is identified where the government's engaging in group stalking. You're identifying it through the environment, like I stated before. Okay, so you're not going to disregard what you documented about the environment last week just because they're doing it and the light source is covered up this day. That's what the stalker thinks is going to happen. Or actually, the stalker doesn't even have an opinion. He has no idea what's going to happen. This is what the stalker is thinking that they can do to avoid it. And that's foolishness. That's foolish. That's foolish. That's how you're identifying the stalker, through the environment. There is no sun that's going to be over my property here at Alvarado Gardens, let alone for the duration of the day, number one, or at any time of the day while I'm documenting it here at the Upland Public Library as a matter of evidence from 7:44 in the morning on public transportation. It's moving across that property while it's keeping in alignment with me, which I'm going to show you on video right now. And while I'm still there at that same property at 6:39 in the evening. Because you see it outside of my bedroom window today, on the same day at 2024 at the same time, that does not make it the natural environment. In the same way that it's very basic, not rocket science, that light you see on my ceiling, that magnified light you see on my bedroom wall, that you see underneath a mattress is not sunlight, not possibly the natural environment. Okay, this is not rocket science at all. It's a matter of pointing out, how is this government doing it? Are you identifying the malicious engagement in that criminal system? And it's elemental. You're not marrying yourself to a particular way in which you're not marrying yourself to a particular image or actor. Group stalking is happening amongst everyone at all times. Okay, under multiple ways. Okay, so this is the entity that's covering up the light source in this video, stalking by helicopter. That's the Upland Police, and at 6:39 p.m. on the same day in 2022, stalking by the Upland Police. Okay.
This is the San Bernardino County Fire Department. They're engaged in terrorism. They're monitoring.
I'm pointing out the Upland Fire Department, who you also saw on video. This is the body of evidence that already exists. They were group stalking, driving by me in that parking lot where the light source, again, captured on video in the morning. And the entity is crossing path in a fire truck, and engineer light rich engineer light covers the asphalt while those demons are driving a fire truck while the light source is over my head at that same address, the Upland Public Library. That's what I'm pointing out is group stalking by address. The Upland Fire Department is group stalking by address. This is a crime committed by the community. Every business, every residence, okay, every vehicle that's in crossing path, any and everything for purposes of presence is group stalking. Okay, it's the state and third parties. So that's what I'm pointing out in that video. So by the way, so 9:34, the light source is covered up. It's right over my head though. If you pay attention, it's right there. And as I go to walk off the property and document, the light source shows itself. And so I want to document gaudy law. And I'm doing this because this is what the entity seeks to avoid. And you're not avoiding anything. You're not avoiding anything. This is evidence that's on the record, and it's going to be identified in that federal prosecution. So I guess if anything, they want to avoid me specifically naming this third-party facilitating venue a law firm. You already know that lawyers are group stalkers by virtue of the criminal facilitation, the criminal act of what is the fictitious prosecution by the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. By group stalkers, demon-possessed state actors such as Leticia Alvarez, Misha Moss, Zahara Austin, I believe. I have all of their bar numbers and their names. They're all going to federal prison. Okay, they were acting with a corrupt law enforcement agency, a corrupt sheriff's department, a corrupt courthouse that's making up information, acting with regard to what is a direct conflict while they're engaged in the criminal act of federal group stalking and monitoring, which is established through the specific environment at that courthouse. And then they're making up information with a corrupt law enforcement agency that's kidnapping on its face, group stalking, and making up information about an illegal arrest, which how, pray tell, does that result in what Lisa Rogan engaged in? Criminal defamation. She engages in libel and slander, which is her audible activity monitoring me. She's threatening my life while the substance of her audible activity, that demon, is defaming me, and she's going to federal prison for it. Okay? This is under all circumstances criminal conduct. And you've seen the entity that acts through corrupt state actors that are, again, legal professionals. While they are also acting in an official capacity, meaning they're practicing law while they're group stalking you. That's a state action. Okay, they're licensed by the state of California. That's how you're going to prosecute that. And Teresa Becerra, for example, group stalking with LAPD while she's creating audible activity and engaged in federal stalking while LAPD is flying over my office. This same property where I've already shown the light sources present at 6:45 in the morning, at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock through after 7 p.m. like you saw the light source today. Covering up that light source is no deviation from that P.O.C. Okay, this is group stalking as I'm crossing paths with the law office. And the light source, again, no cloudy day anymore. As soon as I walk somewhere else, the light source is right there. And where is it? It's not over the Upland Public Library where it remains while I'm inside of the library at 10 o'clock in the morning. It's over my head while I'm outside of the doors of a law office. And that is documentation for group stalking. That is prosecution for group stalking.
Show you what is Gowdy law. This is where I'm located right now. 267. This is the Welcome Center. Just documented tons of lost license plates. This is where the entities group stalking, including USPS.
By the way, what you just saw, those two vehicles, USPS and this white vehicle, they're driving in opposite directions. That's the pacing. Okay? By the way, again, let me show you what I mean by pacing. When you're looking at, oh, sorry, my finger's covering it up. When you're looking at the pacing conduct, crossing path again, this is what's happening when two vehicles are driving in opposite directions. They're pacing, okay? This is what's happening in traffic. They're repeatedly crossing path. That's what's occurring. Repeatedly crossing path, and they're demons. They're demons that are doing that. That's what you saw in that traffic right now with the United States Postal Service and this white vehicle. They're pacing while the light source is directly over me.
CW548 is monitoring. All right, and this is CW548. So I want to show you what is Gowdy law. This is where I'm located right now. 267. This is the Welcome Center. Just documented tons of lost license plates. This is where the entities group stalking, including USPS. 6ZCW548 is monitoring. All right, and this is called surveillance, just maintaining presence as I walk down the street. Demons sitting at this end. This one's sitting right here at this end, which is also the maintenance of audible activity. Doing so under what is, again...
All right, that's the light source that's remaining directly over me, which is under no circumstances shared with the property at Alvarado Gardens, where I have relocated to LA, and the entity is maintaining a light source from the duration of the day, the beginning till the end of the day, while I stay literally at one address for the duration of the day. That is the evidence of exactly what I'm documenting. Besides the fact that I'm capturing it on video, it is the evidence of exactly what I'm continuously documenting. While the entity keeps a light source over me at one address, that's evidence of the entity keeping a light source over me wherever it is that I go, even if I go nowhere. While I'm documenting and going from place to place, I'm showing you the evidence of what is an entity keeping a light source over me wherever it is that I go. Okay, the two are showing the same, and this is an extreme and a very vivid illustration. While I literally remain at one address, the sun rises through the living room window, the sunset is through the bedroom window. Okay, and the engineer light remains in the apartment all day long. Okay, and this is also occurring in the workplace. So I just wanted you to see that. This is the light source. By the way, while I'm around the block from the Upland Public Library, this is the same evidence against the Upland Police Department, because the sun is not going to be around the block from the same address. 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 hours later. That's non-movement. And while you're looking at it at 6:39 p.m., that is not in perfect alignment with my bedroom window in Los Angeles at 1806 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 6, creating light activity appearing under my mattress while that light source is seen as I'm walking out of the entrance doors of the Upland Public Library. No, that's not naturally occurring. No, that's not happening at the same time. No, that is not the natural environment at either one of the addresses individually as you're analyzing the P.O.C. Another analytical approach is comparing the crime scenes, if you will, and that's what I've done. Okay, so the entity is maintaining this light source as I showed on this day. That's the significance of that. What I also wanted to show you was the fact that, and that's enough, but I'm just going to show you the specific environment. So May 6th, and that's May 6th, 2024. That is the last time that the entity engaged in You know what? I think what I'm going to do here is stop this video because it's at 1 hour and 28 minutes, and I'm going to restart another one so that you don't have to go so far into one video in order to see more light activity. So I'm going to chop it up so that it's not so long, and I'm going to show in my next video, I'm going to show you the specific environment. That is the light source that's directly over, no, I'll do that in this video. The Upland Public Library is the specific venue, and then, at the specific venue showing you its presence at that same library at 7 in the morning. So again, you're looking at it at 6:39 p.m.
1561123 Federal Prison, 6 PKT 484 Federal Prison, 7 KCA 922, 7 TTN 920, 7 UJA 423, 7 XYH 906. That's called criminal summoning. 6 JCN 786, and those sex offenders are monitoring while my panties are down. 8 VGL 025, directed light across the ground while they're driving. This is demonic activity. 8 WUB 306. Omnitrans, criminal summoning. Bus 1329. This is P.O.C. It is 6:41 p.m. The fake sun is right here where I'm at, 379 Euclid Avenue.
All right, that's as I walk out of the doors of the same library where I'm present in the morning. And that's this day in 2022 at 6:39. So I'm going to show you that same address while I am at that address passing at 7:44 in the morning, so that you can see what is capturing what is absolutely impossible, as though the sun would be in any position. First of all, there's this coincidence that's always in perfect alignment with me wherever I'm at, and which is not a shared experience. The sun is not remaining over you and rising and setting in alignment to you wherever you are from the beginning to the end of the day. That's impossible, and it's speaking to what is non-movement of the sun. While it is rising in alignment to you on one side of your person and setting in alignment to you on the opposite side of your person, unless you're traveling from one part of the country to the other, that's not the natural environment. And that is impossible that it's happening to me as I'm documenting, and that it would happen to all of us all together, even if you want to disregard the notion of a target individual, which you cannot reasonably do because this is established by evidence. Okay. So at 7:44 in the morning, I'm on Route 83. Going northbound, and I'm passing 450 North Euclid Avenue. This is the Upland Public Library. You're looking at the light source through the bus window, and the light source is remaining in perfect alignment while I'm traveling north up that street. Okay, and the light source is moving in a direction north to maintain perfect alignment with me. That's non-movement in any direction, east or west, while I'm showing you that light source at 6:39 at that same entrance. It's non-movement. That's not movement in any direction west. Okay, and it's certainly nowhere in alignment to my bedroom window in Los Angeles. Okay, so this is 7:44 at the same venue as I documented. Same time of year.
First United Methodist Church. The light source in an alignment, 7:44 a.m. I captured this video days ago, later hour. That's up in the Unified School District. That's up in the Public Library.
That's the Upland Public Library right there. Okay, I'm there at 7:44 in the morning. The light source is in perfect alignment with me at 7:44 in the morning. Okay, as I get off of the bus, the light source remains right there. It no longer proceeds or is appearing in some position whereby it's at some, it's appearing as though it's over everyone and it's in continuous movement, and as though it's universally present. It's ubiquitous presence. The only thing that maintains ubiquitous presence over everyone at the same time is the sky. That's it, not the sun. And by virtue of my capturing this light source at 7:44 in the morning, I'm literally at this same location at 6:39 in the evening. And that's what you're looking at as I captured that with the Upland Police Department. And that's impossible. My back is to that same
This is
library.
criminal summoning. This is the fake sun right here.
Okay, so just so that you can see this phenomenon, it's
Summoning. 6 JCN 786, and those sex offenders are monitoring while 8 WUB 306. Omnitrans, criminal summoning. Bus 1329. This is P.O.C. It is 6:41 p.m.
okay, so you can see that entrance. That's it right there. That's the same Upland Public Library. That's what we're looking at right here while you're looking at that light source.
This is
on the
P.O.C.
same street.
It is 6:41.
That's the same light source. It's 6:41 p.m. and I'm at the same location where you're looking at this light source at 7:44 in the morning. Okay, that's capturing the pattern of conduct right there. The pattern of the entity maintaining a light source over me for the duration of the day. This is showing the specific environment that's present at Upland Public Library, because the entity's criminal system consists of what is hiding behind what's supposed to appear as a natural environment. This is the evidence of where the entity is stalking in helicopters. In the specific environment, the entity is maintaining criminal presence, by presence meaning Anybody in your path is engaging in a criminal act of stalking. They're stalking you. They're not walking by you, they're stalking you. Group stalking is occurring in plain sight because you're ignorant about the environment. Okay, you're ignorant about the engineered light, you're ignorant about the light source because you don't know that this environment is serving to monitor you, to keep you under surveillance. And it is highly criminal, the ways in which you're group stalking, the ways in which you engage in group stalking in somebody's face. When the target individual is documenting it, and then you have the audacity to threaten someone's life in their face, that's when you're getting down to analyzing the criminal system. So now you're just delusional. So now you think you're going to threaten the life of an American citizen while group stalking them in their face. And you intentionally do that because you're also engaged in monitoring on the venue of the internet. You're looking at every video and every picture that I'm taking of your criminal conduct. You're then maliciously engaging in it while covering up the light source, and you're still engaged in that criminal system. Let me be clear. It's not traffic. You are threatening somebody's life in plain sight. Every time a car is driving by, they're stalking. They're doing it on behalf of the corrupt government. This is a crime committed by a population. And yes, it is down to that very detail. That's why the environment is there. This is the ability to engage in criminal monitoring, which is demonic. It's demonic. And that's understanding the significance of that. And this is literally impossible. This is the evidence of what you may not be able to comprehend on your own outside of evidence that we can all look at and examine together. We can reason together. Let me clarify something for you. This is demonic activity. And the evidence of that demonic activity is looking at what is a demonic environment. This is not naturally occurring. The sun is over the same address, 450 North Euclid Avenue, at what is 7:44 in the morning. This is same time of year analysis. It's April 21st, 2022. Let me point something out to you. Even if it was a different time of year, let's say it's outside of daylight savings time, which is only an hour. Okay, but nonetheless, let's say it is November before, or I think October is still daylight savings time. So December, when we're outside of daylight savings time, which is again only 1 hour difference, you are still witnessing what is equally impossible to ever be the case. Duration of time, 7:44 to 6:39. And we'll just leave it at that because that's what documentation shows. But I'm letting you know, the entity, if I stay there until it gets absolutely dark, that's exactly where the light source will set. That's exactly where it will stay. And how do you know that? Because I'm there in the morning, and as I walk out in the evening, it's still there. So that's how you know that. Okay, the entity is maintaining the light source 7:44 as a matter of evidence. 7:44, same time of year, 6:39. Okay, and even if it's outside of same time of year analysis, same time analysis still applies. And so that's why anytime, any day in the year, you can you can analyze and prosecute. Okay, but I'm going so far, we can limit it to the same time of year. I need you to understand how this criminal activity works, what it looks like, how you analyze it, how you recognize it. And then you understand, oh, it doesn't even matter what time of year. Under all circumstances, it's the specific environment. You can cover up the light source. You're going to recognize the P.O.C. over a course of time. So this is why you have years of documenting the specific environment. You can cover up the light source for 2 weeks, for 3 months. You can cover it up. Because when I capture the light source and the sunrise and the sunset at the same address, it is never the natural environment. You will never get out of that criminal system, which you are inevitably stuck in, whether they do it at night, whether they're doing it under the light source that's covered up. Never. This is what the ordinary target individual is capable of enforcing their rights, because you're understanding the malice of that demonic entity that's engaging in what is the criminal system and has every intent to disregard your constitutional rights and continue engaging in it, trying to contradict, trying to get out. There's no getting out of it. And I'm showing you all the ways in which they intend to do so. Okay. This is same time of year. Even if let's just use December, it would still be relevant to what is 1 hour. Okay. So this is 7:44. So outside of daylight savings time, you're giving what would be 6:44 in the morning then. If I recollect correctly, during daylight savings time, we spring our clocks ahead 1 hour. So 6:44 in the morning till what will be 5:39 in the evening. Same duration of time, which is equally impossible and equally demonic. So this is the entity maintaining a light source, and this is the evidence of what is a demonic environment. In case you don't understand, I'm going to spell this out for you. Only the demon possessed are in this environment, and they're engaged in criminal activity, and they do it in plain sight because you're not paying attention to the environment. You're not paying attention to the directed light. You're not paying attention probably to even helicopters that are around you creating audible activity. You're probably not even paying attention to that. Okay, but this is what the entity is doing in California. That's how they're group stalking. Now, I can't speak to how they're group stalking in Mississippi. They may or may not be using helicopters so heavily. All right, but they're using I will say the entity that is group stalking is utilizing the corrupt law enforcement agencies, the fire departments, and the ambulance personnel. They're using their sirens. This is the elements remain. The ways in which they're doing it may be nuanced, but in California, oh, they use helicopters, and I'm sure that they're doing that in New York, the big cities, big states like California, New York. I'm confident that they're using helicopters in New York as well. As a matter of fact, you can see it if you watch the news, and they've got these beautiful backgrounds. You'll see helicopters flying around in the background. They're monitoring. There's no sun that's over anybody in New York while I'm showing you the evidence of the light source that's directly over me in California. All right. They're monitoring in plain sight because you're just ignorant about what's actually going on, what you're looking at, the significance. And by the way, based on the notice that's being given to the country under the P.O.C., these law enforcement agencies are not just free to engage in this willy-nilly helicopter use, willy-nilly, all of this free conduct, this free operation and use of resources. That shall be no more. Okay, because of what is the threat that are posed by these corrupt law enforcement agencies, specifically also the demilitarization of, at the very least, the entity that is documented, a criminal group stalker that's documented, prosecuted. You're talking about demilitarization. Okay, you're definitely going to neutralize that threat. Okay, they are in no position to have those sorts of resources, the tanks and the large bazooka guns. Okay, so that's the type of stuff. But I'm going to digress from that. But this light source that you're seeing, 7:44 in the morning, this is same time of year analysis, April and May, same time of year, and daylight savings time, duration of time analysis. There will never be any sun that's over the same street. Okay, this is essentially sunrise and sunset on the same street at the same location. That is the pattern of conduct. This is the crime scene. The entity that's monitoring your documentation will engage in the same criminal conduct, covering up the light source. And that's what you saw on this day in 2022 at 9:34, where the entity is flying over my head in a helicopter. That's what you're seeing LAPD do while they're covering up the light source, and they're stalking heavily in helicopters, just the same. Okay. And like I said, Dominic Choi, his days are numbered with regard to days as a police chief, and it shall be as a matter of justice. You're going to publicize widely why police chiefs are being dismissed, summarily dismissed, and permanently removed because of the because of the intolerable terrorism that's occurring in this country. It will not be tolerated. And you will be made an example out of by name, by department, by company name, by name. Okay. Well, you will be published. Your criminal conduct, your engagement of terrorism in this country, your un-American criminal system that you intended to exact against an individual for no legitimate purpose. Okay. That's a part of serving justice. Okay, what is relevant to this criminal system? The fact that it's demonic. What Satan is doing in the dark, that gives it power. Part of what is necessary is to make sure that every single aspect is exposed, not leaving any aspect of it a secret or concealed. That is literally removing the power of that entity. Okay, that's a necessary aspect of the prosecution, a necessary aspect of that bringing that shame, a necessary aspect of making an example, of punishing and deterring. Punishment and deterrence. That is a very legitimate and necessary aspect of the prosecution of the public entity engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring and federal stalking. Okay, so that's what I wanted to show you. This is the specific environment. I'm sorry for such a lengthy discussion, but again, it's necessary. I'm going to do one more screen recording because I want you to see the specific environment as I'm comparing it to what you see here in Los Angeles. And that is, oh, thought I messed up something up. That is the specific environment while I am remaining in LA. So I will show you what is the specific environment. I'm going to do a separate one because this one's already at an hour and 42 minutes. So I'll do a shorter video for that. Okay, it's currently 8:18 p.m. The entity did conclude a so-called sunset through the window of my bedroom here in LA, and that included magnification of engineered light on my bedroom wall. And that is documentation of what is, again, showing what is the necessity of all of that which I just mentioned, the exposure to the nth degree, making an example, making it public information, every government actor that's removed and why they're removed, and all the aspects of the prosecution and the punishment to be served for engaging in terrorism in this country, how un-American it is, substantiating all the ways in which you are going to provide justice for that target individual who has a right to be made whole. Being made whole includes severely punishing that government. in addition to what is monetary recovery. But let me be clear, damages have never been awarded to the degree, because this has never been appreciated or recognized under federal law. I'm sorry, there's no way that you can compensate an American citizen that's subject to this criminal conduct. But justice requires that we will try to approach it, okay? We will address that. We will try to approach that. But there's no numerical value that you can place on that where the government is doing this to an American citizen. Justice requires that you approach it, though, that you try. Like I said, as much damage as that, and it shall be, okay, something that's determined to be just, okay, and adequate. But like I said, even that adequate or just amount, you cannot quantify the harms that are inflicted by this system. You can't. Okay, and so that's what I want to make sure that I'm articulating, and also on my own behalf, as I'm advocating for myself, a substantial delay in receiving justice. That's also relevant to justice that shall be served by the corrupt state, all right, by the people of the state, in all the ways in which I'm advocating for the ways in which that they should be prosecuted and the punishment that they shall serve. It's relevant to what the target individual suffers, okay? It is currently, again, 8:20 p.m. and this is P.O.C.